Hi, this is Aaron Russell, head coach of your Richmond Spiders women's basketball team, and you are watching the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network. Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 4, Episode 8, with your hosts, Lamonte Thomas and Shalyn Moore. This week's special guest, Keyana Brown, UNC Wilmington's Women's Basketball Director of Operations.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. Tonight I am your host, Lamonte Thomas. I'm here with Miss Shalyn Moore. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. And then we got Director of Basketball Operations for the women's basketball team, UNC Wilmington, Miss Keyana Brown. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to have your time. We are glad to have your time. And this is going to be a great episode. Of course.
Yeah, it definitely
Welcome
is.
to Commonwealth Sports Talk. Of course, we here at Commonwealth Sports Talk. Let me go ahead and do the official greeting, if you will. This Commonwealth Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports Network. Also brought to you by Grind and Pray, are our sponsors, and the mission is to teach and inform the listener on the positive advancement of Virginia athletes, born or raised, and definitely born and raised. So with that being said, welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Ms. Brown. Let's see, UNC Wilmington. Where do we start? Let's go back to the origin. We got to tell a story, right? So first, we're going to go back to Williamsburg. Talk to us about you falling in love with the game of basketball and what playing high school basketball in that area meant for you.
Yeah, so my dad, he's from Williamsburg. He's one of 13. So I have a huge family and, deep roots in basketball. My uncles, I had an uncle that went to Bucknell, an uncle that played overseas. My dad, sad to say, he did go to Norfolk State. I'm sorry, Little State is what I would call it, but he's gonna kill me when he sees that. But yeah, so my dad played at Norfolk State. Growing up, I started playing when I was 6. I wanted to be a cheerleader at first, but my dad got me running around in his camps, and ever since then, I've loved the game. I've given countless hours and spent so much time in the gym as a youngin. So all the way up to I was 22 when I stopped playing. So 16 years of just blood, sweat, and tears playing, and it's taken me so far, and it's continued to take me places. So, definitely something that I'm so glad that I was able to do. And, so glad to be able to give back to young kids that, want to play and, look up to people that have played and have gone on to coaching and, just staying a part of the game. I really am here to empower, children and girls, not just girls, but boys as well. I have a little brother who plays at Oak Hill. So, anything that I can do, any way that I can, touch kids and get them to love the game as much as I did. That's, kind of where my journey is going with basketball right now.
Nice. Love it, love it. And we here at Commonwealth Sports Talk, we love women in sports. We're a huge advocate, and we try to give you guys your your props and your due diligence and do our due diligence because we know that's a long story, but
Yeah.
y'all get the short end of the stick a lot, and
Yeah.
we here to set the bar where it needs to be.
Yeah. I love.
Um, Shalyn, jump in anytime you need to.
So speaking of setting the bar, you talked about your journey and where it's gotten you to this point and how you foresee yourself continuing in the game of basketball, whether it's playing or coaching or in athlete development. But for those current student athletes that, see a future in sports, but don't necessarily know what direction they plan to go or how to get there after their journey ends, as an athlete, speak to that. Like, what were some of the things that you did when you noticed, like, okay, this is my last year, my time is winding down. What is life after basketball for me?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. I think that you spend so much time in your sport, that I was someone that didn't know what I wanted to do after I finished. So I was a communications major. I graduated from Virginia State University with my comm degree, and I had no clue what I wanted to do. At the time, I was like, I don't know if I want to coach. I think I just want to, enjoy my brother and go to his games and kind of just support. And so I kind of just had no clue. But one thing that I learned as a young child and as a young female and, as a basketball player is networking is super important. I think that I was able to keep in contact with, Coach Barefoot, old coaches, even at Virginia State, I was an intern for the media relations department in my second semester. So keeping in touch with them and, building those relationships to be able to, reach out to people and say, hey, I have no idea what I want to do, but, this is what I've done so far. I'm a comm major. I was a basketball player. I volunteered here and there. So right after school, I had no idea, but I eventually got an internship doing media relations at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And that was great for me. The MEAC is a great place. I met so many great people there, and they are so huge on professional development. So I was able to attend, the Celebration Bowl and the festivities that come along with that, the Women in Sports seminar that they have, the NFL, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name.
Forum.
Yeah, the career forum, like things like that. I was able to attend and see people like me that, are young. I saw a lot of women that made me so great. There were so many women there, first of all, but a lot of people like me that had no idea what they wanted to do and, just doing a whole bunch of networking. And then from the MEAC, I was able to get a media relations assistant position at the University of Maryland. And that was great as well. I mean, like Power Five school, you get to see the colorful side of athletics at a Power Five and, the resources and just like being in the atmosphere of a Power Five school in football and basketball and soccer. And so really, working with the women's basketball team there as a media relations person, that helped me realize like, yeah, I really missed the game. I really want to give back to the game. And so that's how I went on to being a graduate assistant. But, my main thing is that you just have to try. You have to try a lot of things, your path, my path is not straight. Everybody takes a lot of twists and turns in their path. And so I think the most important thing is just to put your hands in a lot of different things. Like, I was exposed at the MEAC to doing different things. I was exposed at Maryland to doing different things. And then my previous place, Valdosta State, as a women's basketball graduate assistant, I still, I did other things besides coach. I was the first person to ever call the volleyball games on live stream. I helped with softball. So just, putting my hands in a lot of different things. I feel like that's my best advice is don't, put all your eggs in one basket when you graduate. Kind of just do a lot of different things.
Absolutely. Great advice. Now let's talk about your role as the director of ops, of basketball ops and these prerequisites. Because again, we want to show our athletes, give them their flowers while we can. So let's talk about it. All right. We got 2012, 2013 state champ, right? You all tournament team, Press Player of the Year, Virginia Gazette Player of the Year, Bay Rivers Player of the Year, Peninsula Sports Club Player of the Year. Yeah, we know, right?
Yeah.
Like you were the real deal, and even as a college player, for ODU, you were always a player that did what you needed to do, right? Whether you needed to go 5 for 5 for threes in a game or have 4 blocks in a game. Again, we do our research, we know, right? Like, talk about how, that on court IQ, and that commitment you had to the game as a player has now transformed to you getting the best out of the student athletes that you work with now.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad, he trained me my whole life, and I still have not found someone that I feel like is, I've seen my dad play in his prime, and he's has such a good IQ. And another thing that I did often is, and that's growing up, stayed in the gym. Like I have that IQ because I spent a lot of countless hours in the gym. Oh, is it frozen? Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I spent a lot of countless hours in the gym to build up that IQ. I think that the only way that you can have that is if you work at it. And so, my parents were really tough on me. I'm the only girl in the house, and so a lot of times, like, I had to go to the gym before I did things. I had to get 500 shots up before I went out with my friends, or my mom would be like, oh, you want to go somewhere? Did you go to the gym today? So I think that has a lot to do with my mentality, and why I work so hard is because that's something that my parents like bred out of me and bred out of my brothers. Like, my parents could not pay for college, and they were very upfront with me on that. And so with that in mind, like, I just knew that I had to work, that much harder than everybody else. And I think that with that mentality, it's easy to instill that in the kids. Like, you got to do one more. Like, I really love this group at UNC Wilmington. Like, just as the director of ops, taking a step down before we go to practice. Those girls, they are in the gym before we even work out. They get on the gun, they shoot. It's like 4 or 5 of them. They're contagious. Their energy is just like, hey, we want to do something special this year. And I think that that's how I carry myself. We always do one more. So my dad has always instilled that in me and my brothers, and that's kind of like something that was instilled in them. So definitely that IQ comes from just being in the gym and having that hungry mentality of I'll do whatever it takes. It's hard when you go from a place of, being the main scorer and, just go-to person. And I think, people get that misconstrued when you go to college, that it's just going to be like that. And I think that I had that mature mentality to understand, like, I don't really care about my accolades. I just care about, how good my team does. So that really just played a huge part in what I did and was able to do at the collegiate level.
That's right. Give me the W.
Yep, that's right. That's all I care about.
That's right. Yeah, and we'll go ahead and get into, the program itself. Or Shalyn, you got anything for it?
Sure. My next question, and again, I kind of want to attack the journey side of it, because a lot of people, they're so fixated and caught up on the end results. And like you said, they don't see those hours where you're not out with everyone else. You're in the gym shooting 5,000 shots until you can go out. You're, late nights, early mornings. People don't really, they know of it, but they don't really see it. They can't really feel it because they're not there in those grind moments. So when you think about that, what are some things that you feel like you did that others, I'm not going to say they won't do it, but they just necessarily don't do it? And what were those, if you could name 2 pivotal things that you did while you were an athlete and after you were an athlete that really made all the difference in getting to you where you are today?
Yeah, just like I said, like I spent a lot of time in the gym. And I think a pivotal moment in my career was when I was a sophomore. As a freshman at ODU, I didn't play a lot, and I didn't take that personally. Like, it didn't make me want to leave the school. It made me want to, go after it. And I think that was my pivotal moment as a player. That off season, I really went hard at it. I mean, I got extra workouts with our strength and conditioning. I was in the gym, getting shots up. I really became a perfectionist with my shot. My sophomore year, Coach Jermaine Woods, he joined our staff at ODU, and me and him we just got real tight. And one thing I did, I just became a perfectionist. Like, I would be in practice and I would be missing shots, and I'd get so mad at myself because I spent so much time in the gym, shooting and making sure my feet are right. And, I'm lining the ball up every single time, and just, hearing things that my dad has said, but in the back of my mind, that's repetition. And so I just took it personal that I wanted to be the best version of me so that I can contribute to my team. And so, that summer or spring and summer in between and fall as well, that time between the end of the season when I was a freshman, that was a huge moment for me to, just hunker down and get in the gym and make myself better. And I think that I really saw it pay off when I was a sophomore. I think that was one of my best years at ODU. I felt like I was the most confident that I had ever been. And I was, defensively, offensively, like anything that I needed to do for Coach Barefoot, I feel like I was able to do it because I just spent the time working on it. And just the same thing in my career, a pivotal moment for me was when I made the career change. I think, I loved media relations. The MEAC was great to me. Maryland was great to me, but it helped me realize that, I was missing something that was near and dear to me. And, working in sports was great, but I want to work with my sport. And so that made me hungry. We were in the middle of a pandemic. So I was kind of at home, and, I was talking to my dad, like, hey, like, I really want to do this. And so I was reaching out to all my old coaches. I reached out to Coach Barefoot, who ended up being such a great resource for me and a great advocate for me when I did get that job at Valdosta State. But, I was reaching out to my old coaches. I applied for so many graduate assistantships, so many just like assistant coaching jobs, with no experience at all. But, I took a lot of interviews, and I was able to learn from those and just get better every single time. And then that really helped me launch myself into the coaching side of basketball. And, I'm so grateful for, just having that confidence and not being afraid to just step out on a limb and go after what I believe in.
Got it. Before I hand it over to Lamont, I was trying to make sure I remember there was one important thing you said in your first answer. You said you didn't play a lot that freshman year, and it was pivotal for you as a player going into your sophomore year to just grind harder. But I think what I got from it was also, it was pivotal for you as a player and for you as a person. And that said a lot about your character. Because, we live in a generation where kids, when they don't play, they want to jump ship into the portal. Sometimes they don't think like, it's me, I got to work harder. What am I not doing? I got to put the time in. And that's even in the corporate world. Things aren't moving as fast as you want. You're not elevating as fast as you want. You're looking for the next job. And it's definitely a generational thing. It's a good thing, and sometimes it's bad, but I think it was important and pivotal for you as a person and a player in that moment. And it said a lot about your character and a lot about what you were willing to risk to get to where you wanted to get. So I just
absolutely. I think social media has played such a huge influence. Like, you see the highlight videos and the workout videos, and those are all great. Like, take nothing away, but I see a lot of like instant gratification. Everybody wants a like, everybody wants, the comments, oh, you're so good and stuff like that. And, I could have been offended when I was in high school because I felt like, I'm looking at all these girls in the country and, I wasn't ranked in the country. I wasn't, like some 5-star athlete or anything like that. And that didn't deter me. And I think that nowadays, like, people just think it's all about the stars. Like, I wish that we could take stars away and take that type of stuff away, because you would really see players for who they are, like past the stars. So definitely that was a pivotal. I grew up but in that time, like I grew up like, I even called my parents one day when I was at ODU. Like, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I'm like looking at people that I grew up with and stuff like that. And they were doing their own thing. But one thing I called my parents on three-way, and I'm like, I just want to thank y'all for just being so hard on me and demanding like an excellence out of me that I didn't understand then, but I understand it now. Like, this is how I carry myself. And I think they really set that up for myself to like want more. Like, I want more in life. I want more. Even right now, I want more. I want to see, where I can go and what I can do. So yeah, definitely that was like a time where I really just grew up as a person and a player, for sure.
Diversity will grow you up.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
That was perfect, because Shalyn, you speaking about, the generation, and then Keyana, you saying instant gratification, right? That is the generation, right? And that's the thing that holds us back a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, that running through the wall, or like you said, you see the highlights and you see all the glitz and glamour and all the clout, and that doesn't necessarily add or match those times in practice where you get pissed off at yourself, right? The time when you got to look in the mirror, the incidents you were talking about, whereas you versus you, right? And you refuse to lose, and you've applied that not only to the court but now in your career, right? And that's the makings of a winner, right? Like, that's what we talk about, like, because that intrinsic motivation, it doesn't go any further than you looking at yourself like, it's me, right? It's me or nothing else. Like, betting on yourself is a thing, and that is the thing in our generation where we want the end results, like Shalyn talks about, but at the same time, you have to go through the obstacles to get there. You got to run through that, through that pain or that adversity or whatever it is that's getting you there or holding you back so that you can get there.
Absolutely. And, just before we move on, if we were doing that, like Shalyn, you said something so important, like about the portal and kids just jumping in. Like, one thing that if an athlete is listening to this podcast, like, I really, like, I challenge you to look in a mirror and, just see what you can fix about yourself before you're, thinking about what the program or your coaches are doing, in this situation. I challenge kids to look in a mirror and, see how they can be better and be the best them. And then if it all boils down to like, I'm the best version of me and this is not a great fit for me, then that's when you figure out, the best situation for you. But I think so often kids just give up so easily, like, and then they go to another place and it's, a situation where they're like, well, I transferred here and then I want to transfer again. Like, and I feel like kids don't understand that it's not always the school. Like, you kind of just got to bear down and do the work. Like, kids are not, they try to say, oh, it's the coach, it's the players and stuff like that. But, you're coming in last in sprints, or you're showing up late, or you're not getting your grades right, or you're, stuff like that. So I just really challenge any athlete that's listening to this podcast, like, really bear down, write some goals for yourself for the next year, write some things down and don't just give up.
Yes.
It definitely built different.
Yeah, it's so real. And, and we talk all the time on this podcast about everybody doesn't have the same amount of opportunities. You talked about that. Your opportunities you knew from high school were going to be not as many as some of the other people, right? And that flips the switch with you. That changes your mindset because, again, transfer portal. Oh, I didn't like it in my high school. I'm gonna move. Mm-hmm. I don't like it there. I'm gonna move again, right? Everybody doesn't get those opportunities. So you coming back sophomore year, grinding harder than ever. You played in every game, sophomore and junior after that, right? Like those are the type of things that get you over the hump. And before you know it, you're playing 30 plus minutes in the game. And it's not even about scoring. It's about doing anything and everything you can to will your team to a victory. Like that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And then look at you now, right? Like moving on, now you're passing that down, to the next student athletes. I think that was great advice. It was great advice.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
also sometimes people, what I've noticed and what you've showcased to, be the opposite is that they can't stay committed to the process when they don't get the desired outcomes. So if my team doesn't have a winning season, then I can't stay committed. I can't still give that 1000% effort.
Right.
If I'm not getting playing time, then I'm not willing to go as hard in practice because I'm coming off the bench. So it's those scenarios that change the dynamic, and it really separates the people that really want it versus the people that, like you said, are doing it for the instant gratification or other reasons. Speaking of that, I do want to dive in a little bit more to your current position with basketball operations, because you said that it was a pivotal moment for you when you switched career gears. So in this current role, what's something that you have yet to, touch or do that you plan to do soon, whether it's student athlete development, mental health is heavy right now in college athletics. So what's something that I'm just going to speak it into existence. What's something that you're going to do in this role that you have yet to do?
So, as the director of ops, like I'm in charge of travel and, hotels and that side of things. However, with the girls, I also get to be really creative with them. So one thing that we are going to do at UNC Wilmington is we're going to be heavily involved with diversity and inclusion. Like you said, it's such a pivotal time with mental health and everything that we're going through with this pandemic, and just a lot of things have come into play that and I really want our girls to be educated. I want myself to be educated. I think our coaching staff is great. They want to be educated so that they can also educate our players. So we're going to work a lot with diversity and inclusion. Anything that we can do and be a part of with that, we're going to, school wide or, UNC or Wilmington wide, we're going to try to be advocates for any and everybody. And so in that we have to, educate ourselves one. So we're going to get some, get working with the diversity and inclusion, department at UNC Wilmington. And then we're just going to be volunteering as much as we can. Any walks, any thing that we can put our hands in and get our girls to understand that this is important. And, it goes past just being a player. It goes past just being at UNC Wilmington, like something that they need to carry with them the rest of their lives and anything that they do. So, definitely something that me and Coach Barefoot, that was like one of the first things that we talked about is like, how can we get involved? Like, how can we get our players involved? And, sometimes it's just going to be me, or sometimes it's just going to be the staff or just our players, but always extending out the UNC women's basketball team, UNCW women's basketball team to diversity and inclusion and anything that we can do in that.
No, that's definitely dope, and it's needed. Even a lot of times in higher education, academia, athletics, I've witnessed at different places where instead of them facing things like this head on, some places choose to, stay silent or kind of stay on the side of caution. And I understand it, but at the same time, those places that do really make the initiative to say, no, this is a realistic thing that our student athletes are dealing with, that we are dealing with, and, educate it and find ways to confront it instead of, hiding. So that's very important. I think it's good. That's
I like it. And I think it's a match made, with you and Coach Barefoot, because I know she's about it as well. Values and community, right? The values that a good basketball player have are they going to be the same ones that a good person has, right? So like you helping them become better, young adults, better athletes, better students, that's going to translate to the court, right? Just as you just told your own story, getting the best out of yourself is nothing but a plus when it comes to working with a team. So I'm familiar with Coach Barefoot. We had a conversation right before we got on. I got a chance to see them come down and play VCU at VCU, and that was a game, man. And a couple years back, you guys had Sharita Parker. You had Gigi Smith, who just signed a contract to play in Ireland overseas. So that's big. And we're looking forward to the good times with yourself and Coach Barefoot linking back up, in this program and definitely making waves. So we appreciate you having coming on again. And Shalyn, anything else for her?
I do want to kind of end it on one thing. Keyana, if you could, right now in this moment, decide like what is the legacy that you want to, leave with, whether it's with this team and you go on or just in general, making your mark on, basketball and collegiate athletics. What's the legacy you want to leave?
My grandmother, she passed away on October 31st last year. And, she really impacted my path. Just going and seeing how many people came in, how I'm a part of her legacy. I want to leave that. I want to leave the same type of legacy that she had. Everybody pretty much loved my grandmother. And, one thing, but outside of basketball and, on the court type of things, like I want people that are just genuinely good people in this society. Like I carry myself as, I'm going to help as much as I can. I have done so many things and seen so many things, and so many people have helped me and, given to me. So that's what I want to do. I want people to walk away and say, Keyana is so much more than just a coach. She's an advocate for her players. She's, a good person. She helps in any way that she can. And I think that, having that mentality, it's contagious. I think that it will rub off on anybody that, I'm around. I think that I just kind of just carry myself like that all the time because, life is short, and, more than anything, when the ball stops bouncing, it did for me. I want kids to understand, like, I got opportunities like this, like I have now, because of the person I am. It has nothing to do with, how many points I scored or how many rebounds I had. It has everything to do with how I treat people, being respectful, coming on time, being on time, like things like that. Like, I just really want people to be a genuine good person over anything else, the talent and stuff like that. Like, that's something that that's God-given, but it's not God-given to be genuine good people. And that's, you have to teach yourself to be that way, in a sense. Like, yes, everybody can be a good person, but you have to choose to be a good person in the community. And I think that is so big. You just think of everything that's going on right now, just with the mask and, social distancing and stuff like that. I feel like I've seen so many just crazy things and crazy stories and heard crazy stories on the internet and stuff like that. And I think that we just all kind of just need to take a step back and just look in the mirror and say, who am I as a person, and how am I as a person? How do I go out in the world, and how do people view me? And so I think that for me, it's just, I want people, good, genuine people around me. And that's how I am. And I'm not going to accept anything less than that from people that I come across. And so for me, just being a good, genuine person, always, I want people to hear my name and smile and think like, yes, she's such a great person. I enjoyed my time here with her. And I think I just strive all the time to smile and have a big smile on my face and just, carry myself with grace and just to be a good person.
That is great. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's great gems passed on by your grandmother. So, shout out to her.
Yes.
Shalyn, I'm telling you what, I'm gonna talk some trash to Joe off of this segment because
what? We wrapped up now.
You ended with the last question. That's exactly what I was gonna ask Keyana. So,
Oh, cool. But I didn't know because he didn't give me nothing. So I was
but listen,
like, and when I didn't hear back, I thought we weren't doing it.
we clicked like that, so it worked. It was great, and it was like on cue. So Joe's gonna love it.
Cool.
I'm gonna tell you what, Legacy Maker Sports, the person editing this, Darrell, is gonna love it because we always ask the legacy question with Legacy Maker Sports. He's gonna love it. Yo, it was perfect. Just know that. So that was great. And yeah, man, we're just really glad to have you, to have your time, Keyana, and we wish you all the best. And Legacy will be following. So if you see us at a game, say what's up and don't be surprised because we definitely want to give you guys your love. We appreciate everything that you do for our student athletes, for our community.
I think he froze.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
He might be out for the count.
Yeah, well, if it's recording, I just want to really say thank you for having me on. Like, this has been such a great opportunity for me. You guys y'all do such great things. I love, just highlighting sports and women in sports and men in sports, just highlighting everything. I think people need to know that, that Virginia is the place to be. We love sports in Virginia. Basketball, football, anything you name it. We've had so many great athletes come out of Virginia. I'm just so grateful that y'all chose me to be on this podcast. And, I'm so excited that y'all will follow us, anything you guys need, some tickets or what, I'm the go-to girl. So just let me know. But again, thank you guys so much. I enjoyed this so much.
Yes, yeah, we appreciate having you. And again, tell Coach Barefoot, we appreciate her too.
I definitely will.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time. This is Commonwealth Sports Talk. For Shalyn Moore, for Lamont Thomas, and Keyana Brown. Until next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.